backgrounds from all over Nigeria. This is Freshly Pressed, and you can always be a part of the conversation by sending in your messages via WhatsApp on 0809 440 981 0809 440 981. We're also streaming live on YouTube. Yes, you can catch the live stream right there on Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All right, joining me this morning are my analysts, Joseph and AB. Very good morning to you, gentlemen. Great to have you on.
Good morning. Morning, Lagos. Nice to be here again.
Morning, Lagos. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning to all of the wonderful listeners.
Righty, let's get things started. And I'm going to begin in the Nation newspaper. Joseph, I'm coming to you with this one. And the National Economic Council, that's the NEC, yesterday urged labor leaders to halt their strike plan and give government more time to address their concerns. Now, the NEC, an economic advisory body made up of some federal agencies, the CBN, and governors, is chaired by the vice president. Joseph, do you think that organized labor is going to actually listen to this plea, or will they just go ahead with what they want to do? That's a strike that's been planned for next Tuesday.
Before I say something about what will be the reaction of labor, I want to say that the pain in the land is palpable. I mean, it's so realistic, and that people are really going through excruciating pains. Things are really rough. So, but while I acknowledge that, I strongly believe that labor, you don't dare labor, because labor, their makeup and their nature is such that they think that the government only understands this language of cutting out labor services to people, to them. And this is fueled by the attitude of government officials. Our elected officers, they have not shown that they've learned any lesson. People are still profligate. People are still showing their ostentations and everything that has happened in the past that shows that these officers and officials are insensitive, are still playing. And I think that actually is what is provoking these reactions. Because realistically, we all know that some of the things labor is asking for cannot happen within the time frame within which they expect it to happen. And so it makes sense to say, well, in labor, let us discuss, let us talk. But if you're saying, well, let us talk, and you're not demonstrating that you even understand what is at stake, then it's a problem. That's what is the issue here. It's not as if people don't know, things are difficult, money is not just coming, and realistically, Nigeria is broke. If you look at it, I mean, realistically, Nigeria doesn't have the money. Subsidy is supposed to provide, removal is supposed to bring the money that. So realistic plan, what are we doing to solve problems? I know buying buses here, once they buying buses here, they are not tangible things that people feel. People are not feeling the impact of even what has been talked about, what they say they are going to do. So I'm not surprised that labor will push ahead with this strike, unless there's serious intervention by people who they think can listen to them. But I think people are just tired, and it's coming from the fact that government hasn't shown sincerity of purpose and sensitivity. And that sensitivity has to be demonstrated. It's not a matter of saying things. Demonstrated. Right. People should see the difference.
Right. Okay. Before we leave the story, AB, let me just get your quick thoughts on something. I mean, looking at labor generally, I mean, in the past couple of years, different issues have led to them, talking about going on strikes, planning strikes, and so on and so forth. And those strikes, haven't actually come to fruition. Now, looking at what they've planned now, they said October 3rd, an indefinite strike is going to begin. Do you think that, looking at previous instances where they haven't really followed through, will they be taken seriously right now?
It's sad. Like Joseph said, the pain across the land is rife. Labor unfortunately has a track record of waiting till about 1 or 2 a.m. on the night before a strike. And then we suddenly hear an announcement where they say they are going back to negotiating table. But I think at this point, they may find themselves about to be made relevant if they make this threat and don't carry it through. But it's not as if I want a strike. I would like the solutions to have been on ground, like Joseph said, so that the strike wouldn't be necessary. But it appears that there's more and more of talk. Now, inside this story, they say the president will announce something on October 1st. Why October 1st? Why not last week? Why not last month? You see, there's a lot of symbolism without substance. Who cares about an October 1st statement if I'm suffering or almost dead by October 1st? So just trying to tell people, wait until this, I don't think it's solution oriented. That's just me.
All right. Okay, moving on to another story here coming out of the Punch newspaper. Now, the Nigeria Customs Service on Thursday said its latest findings showed that the quality and price of Nigeria's premium motor spirits, popularly called petrol, were the key factors causing the persistent smuggling of PMS out of the country. I saw this and I didn't know whether to laugh or to actually cry. I mean, we're at a place where this issue of smuggling has caused us a lot of pain in terms of, taking advantage of the high price of crude in the market. But I mean, come on, this smuggling issue is not something that started today. AB, please, what are your thoughts on this?
The simple answer to this, the reason why smuggling happens is criminality is going unchecked, full stop. So it's not about fuel quality or price only. It's about the fact that in every society, there's a criminal element. You can stop or curb smuggling considerably by simply enforcing the law. I think this is something of a cop-out to say it's because if you're diamonds are a beautiful thing, but you just can't go into maybe one museum and steal them because there's security there. I saw some good parts of this news, how the customs said that they have improved their revenue and all that. It was part of revenue generation and all that. But please, if smuggling is going on, the customs and the security forces all together are required to make sure that that stops. I consider, for one thing, this statement, the headline as framed, an absolute and total cop-out. I don't care how good Nigeria's fuel is. It has no reason to cross our borders to anywhere else. It should be circulated within Nigeria and ideally circulated at a lower price, which could happen if these people who keep saying labor shouldn't go on strike would make Nigeria's refineries procured at extreme cost to function. I'm sorry, I'm not one of those sitting back and waiting for a private individual's refinery to start working. That's a great addition, but we happen to have 4, count them, 4 refineries. Why don't we have anyone working?
Let me go to WhatsApp really quickly and take a couple of messages. Ayo says, good morning, Freshly Pressed crew. Ayo, AB, and Joseph, good morning to you. On the NLC indefinite strike, mark my words, the strike will fail. The NLC leadership have bitten more than they can chew this time. There are more Nigerians willing to give this current government the opportunity to reset the economy. We see what's going on in Ghana and other countries, even in Europe. A strike at this time will only increase the hardship of Nigerians. On the announcement of government's resolutions on October 1st is to commemorate Independence Day and also to put NLC, in my own view, to a corner. The government will approach the court after it, and then the NLC leaders will be in trouble. Ajayi Oloniloa says, good morning. To say that labor should not go on strike is just begging the question. You cannot beat a child and ask him not to cry. Government should just do the needful and avert a total collapse of the economy. Cisco Delgado says, good morning, guys. The worst union in Nigeria is the NLC. Oh, wow. All right.
One quick thought, please, just in that line. One quick thought. If labor was serious, I think there's some kind of subsisting legal ban against strikes. Why has labor not gone to upturn that? That is among the many other reasons why a number of people don't consider labor to be a serious organization. Next story.
All right, next story. I'm coming back to you on this one, Joseph. This is coming out of The Guardian. The federal government has assured that it will pursue digital financial inclusion to ensure inclusive growth and increase the number of individuals and businesses that participate in the formal economy so that no one is left behind. Meanwhile, a new financial technology company, that's Kekere App, has secured regulatory approval to provide and accelerate access to financial inclusion by individuals and businesses through secure, seamless, and hassle-free transactions.
Yeah, we've been waiting for that seamless transaction. I mean, we all know what it's been like when you want to make a transaction, some glitch is occurring, your app is not available, this is failing, the money is left your account, it's not being received by the recipient. So it's somewhere it's missing between Ajegunle and Abuja and whatever. So we need apps that are functional, secure, and there's a huge amount of financial crime happening online. I know it does tells you that the apps being provided by banks are porous, they are not secure, they're not very secure, they're not dependable. So any new app that promises to fill this gap, and what I was looking out for was for the Kekere App company, or the company behind this new app, to tell us what is different, what are they bringing, what technology is driving this, what makes them so confident that this will be different from what exists currently. But as to what can happen digitally, I mean, Nigeria is poised to get to a high level if the government can provide the environment for our very creative-minded young people to play in this field. And this whole statement about pledging to drive digital economic growth through financial inclusion is all happening on the launch of this app called Kekere App, by Dan Tata, somebody from the Dan Tata family. So it's something that we need to really, that's an area when the government needs to play very actively, because the market is there, the skills are there, more Nigerians, young people are going into tech. Nigeria can become like India of Africa, exporting skills, technological skills to other parts of the world. And we have the potential if the right environment is created.
Right. And just, staying with that, of course, this is quite a good innovation. And as you said, Joseph, that we've all had different experiences when it comes to financial transactions and so on and so forth. But AB, do you think that, looking at the track record of something new coming out and then, it's loaded and it works very well, that issue of along the line, it just loses steam and then it's not as good as it was at the beginning. Is that fear still in the air concerning this right now? Real quick.
You see, in the context of the country, you might have all the best intentions, but sometimes you run against the friction of inefficiencies in the system. You can have your back end working perfectly, your software, your people. Is there power? Is there the transmitting thing, the network? Is it working? So there are a number of things that can affect the efficiency, but when you're doing business in Nigeria, you kind of have to be your own country, your own local government, your own power supplier, your own everything. So if you're planning to play properly here, you really need to prepare yourself. And in that case, there is great opportunity to give excellent service.
All right, good stuff. This is Freshly Pressed right here on Smooth Breakfast and Smooth 98.1. You can send your messages in via WhatsApp on 0809 440 981, 0809 440 981. Let me take a couple of messages on WhatsApp. Dami and Abbas says, Labour has never been a part of policy formulation and neither have they been a part of any committee for the growth of Nigeria. It seems our idea of labor unionism is antagonism. Every time you hear about labor unions, it's always about threats. They need to go beyond this moving forward. All right, Yinka Bolu says, let's ponder on this for a moment. The primary focus of the NLC is on wage increases, and how does a wage increase for an inefficient and excessively large civil service benefit us? It doesn't. Is there widespread hunger in the country? Undoubtedly. This hunger has persisted for some time, and both locally and abroad, albeit with varying degrees of intensity. Moreover, do we even fully understand the NLC's exact demands? Perhaps they should televise their meetings to provide transparency. Who else is talking to us here? Tayo says, government has always had their way of ignoring court orders, but are now reminding the labor leaders of contempt. Life is funny, but I'm not holding my breath on this strike because private sector is driving the economy. Yesterday, Oshogbo, today, Ajegunle, stray bullet everywhere, take cover. All right, let's take another story here. And I'm jumping right into Daily Trust. And AB, this one is, coming to your table. The Executive Secretary of the National Senior Secondary Education Commission, that's the NSSEC, Dr. Yela Ajayi, has disclosed that the act establishing the commission directs that states must contribute at least 5% as the counterpart funding to qualify for their intervention.
Let me put this in context. If your child came back from school and proudly told you, Daddy, I have scored 5% in my courses, you'd be shocked, dismayed, and you'd warn them seriously. That is completely unacceptable and meager. So now all a state must do is provide 5% to qualify. Yet, going by maybe the context of the story, I wonder whether a mere 5% has been made available. So it goes back to the issue of priority and how the government, both at the state and local government levels, prioritizes education. Certain bands of education are actually supposed to be within the realm of the local government. And take it from me, every local government is assigned money every month. But what do? They empower assorted, venomous, and people to just come and gather around you whenever you happen to pause. I mean, they're not, what are they doing as local governments? Education should be one of those things that is prioritized by government so that they can raise the quality of people. There are some other parts of the story about renaming something according to the act irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. If you are really setting out to improve education as a state, that 5% should be the first thing you assign before your bulletproof vehicle, before your security vote, before what are all those things where we'll go and sing and dance at every single event and we print a leader's face on Ankara and then everybody's being, sycophantic towards them. 5% is all it takes for a state to qualify for counterpart funding. If it's not done in any state, it just tells you about the mentality and the mind of those leaders to the people. They don't want to educate their people. So, that's basically what this story is about. Just provide a mere 5% and you qualify for counterpart. Now, at least if you have done that, you can now raise a ruckus if that funding doesn't come. Where is our priority when it comes to education? That's the bottom line in this question, in my view.
And, just to piggyback off of this, okay, well, first of all, your analogy at the beginning about the child proudly telling his father that he scored 5%. I think I'll be more shocked at the fact that he was proud of the fact that he got 5%. It's not even the 5% itself. That's even another story.
It's just to tell you how nothing 5% is. How nothing 5% is.
But I remember yesterday we actually talked about a story about Taraba State where where the governor talked about facing criticism over his scheme to give free education to in his state. And you would wonder that looking at education in Nigeria generally, it's something that should be at the forefront or in the front burner in terms of our leaders, because looking at Nigeria's out of school children, I think Nigeria has quite a high number. I mean, according to UNICEF and UNESCO, I think it's between 18.5
and 20 million
and 20 million. Or thereabouts. So isn't this something that any way you want to look at it should be topmost priority?
Go figure.
All right, let's take some more messages right here on WhatsApp. Dami from Ikeja says, smugglers have a right to be attracted to the quality and price of fuel in Nigeria. Custom and law enforcement agencies at the border have a responsibility to prevent the smugglers from moving fuel illegally across the border. They should be
There
doing
you go.
their jobs in a nutshell. Victor Sheon says, if NLC were a Congress of bandits or terrorists, and they threaten to go on strike, will the government listen to them or not? The government asked the masses to bear the burden of subsidy removal, yet after 4 months, we can't see any renewed hope of better living. See what you did there, Victor. Joseph Many says, good morning, Ayo and your vibrant analyst, AB and Joseph. The government is just playing to the gallery. Confusion everywhere and corruption on the fast track. Just imagine the excuses the customs are giving. They know how to chase those bringing in rice and cars, which are quite smaller, but tankers, which are 5 times bigger than cars, yet they find it difficult to even apprehend a single tanker. It's just shameful and ridiculous. May God help Nigeria. Thank you for your message, Joseph. Cisco Delgado says, not only education, our LGA chairman absolutely doing nothing. There's no impact of their presence for the people. Dr. I says, I like Kumi and the analysts take, okay, well, that's my Ayokunmi, yeah. And the analysts take on national issues. Please keep it up so we keep listening to Freshly Pressed. Hey, we do that each and every single day. It's our mantra right here. As per the labor unions, they are a representation of a majority of Nigerians. We like to complain, but don't want to do the work to bring about effective changes to the situation in Nigeria. That said, I am worried about the level of anger in the country. It needs an outlet lest it explodes. Let's really hope that it does not explode. All right, let's move on to another story here, and I'm taking this one out of Premium Times newspaper, and this one I find particularly interesting. And Joseph, I'm coming back to you with this one. The governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has issued a 2-day ultimatum to traders to vacate the rail tracks of the ongoing Red Line rail project, which will link Oyingbo to Marina. He made this known during a tour of the project at the Agege station on Wednesday. Now, Joseph, I know how our people tend to be. People make excuses. Okay, they can't afford to rent shops. They don't have money to get a particular space, so they have to sell at this particular point. But do you need someone to tell you that you should not be within a corridor where trains are passing? I mean, does the governor need to actually be the one to come and tell you that this is wrong?
It's everywhere. I mean, if you may remember, popular Creek Road market in Port Harcourt, people actually left the road, the market, beautifully built market, and were trading on the streets. I mean, it's almost like a way of life of our people that if you build the market for them, they don't stay in it. So the question as to, they don't have the place, the market is not there. It's a mentality. People believe that if they are not by the roadside, they are not seen. Nobody can patronize them. And also, buyers tend to want to just grab things by the roadside and go. We need to change. There's need for reorientation. I'm taking this from a different angle. I'm looking at it for a matter of reorientating our people to accept organization, not to talk about the risk and the risk involved here, because it's like we're deadened to risk. That's what it means. It's like people are deadened to risk. People have become so desperate that they don't even see danger. That's what it means. Because everywhere, this is not the first, it's been the trend. If you go to a D line in Port Harcourt, for example, or any other place where there is a market along the railway line. So if there is derailment or whatever, people are at risk immediately. So it's this insensitivity to danger. I don't know whether it's out of desperation. People will say, it's poverty. It's not a matter of they can't afford. It's a culture. It's a culture of deadening, your senses being deadened to danger. Whether it's out of desperation, I don't know. But there's a lot more that needs to be done to reorientate our people to accept that organization is very important. If you go to the average town in the United Kingdom, it's structured in such a way that you have the railway station is about the same place where you have the high street. These businesses are located, and everything's so organized. People just fall in line. But here, I don't know. We like chaos. We like disorganization. In fact, if you go into our markets, most of our markets are not. I dread going to markets. Our markets are very disorganized.
I know that feeling.
Yeah,
There's the all die and I die aspect. Either I die of hunger or I die under
hunger or
train.
die
But
by
from the safety perspective, there are two things. One, give them the notice. Secondly, when doing the train lines, in many other countries, they have fences along both sides, at least to make it harder for you to be on the train track. This is an ongoing project.
But we see them cutting into these fences, AB, regularly.
So let's look for severe and serious consequences. Put CCTV. However, how do you operate CCTV with no light? Do you understand that these things are largely all connected? But let's not overdwell on it. It's sad.
All right. Back to WhatsApp real quick. Barrister Dan Okuda says, good morning, crew. Labour should shelve this strike. It will cause more harm than good. Abbas says, we need proper enforcement and not just this initial warning from the governor. Lagos has so many laws against misbehavior that were celebrated and giving proper media awareness, but we end up not following up on them afterwards. Let people be arrested for their misbehavior without giving in to emotions and sentiments. Yinka said, I hope the NLC is happy watching what the workers who came to work late did to Engineer Umahi at the office. That's what we get when we give undue relevance to the NLC. One of the listeners said people are angry and they need to let out steam. Good. Please do that in your room or rent a stadium to scream in one voice. Some of us don't want to strike, so why drag me in? And that's you not respecting my own right. All right. Okie dokes. Back to the stories at AB. Let's take another story real quick. Time is just flying by.
With the time we have left, let's face the flood story. With the time we have left.
All right, let's face the flood story. Okay, so, and I'm taking that one out of the Punch newspaper. Yes. So the National Economic Council on Thursday directed the National Emergency Management Agency, that's NEMA, to provide immediate intervention and relief to states affected by flood. It also resolved to develop and articulate a roadmap to address flooding and manage attendant disasters.
Now, we all were familiar with what happened last year, where the floods suddenly seemed to have overwhelmed us. The dam in Cameroon was opened, etc. At that point, on October 24th, after a lot of the devastation, then President Buhari gave a 90-day deadline for a flood prevention plan to be, articulated. That would have expired on Monday, the 23rd of January. I am here to ask you and other listeners, do you feel, do you perceive, do you suspect that anything at all was done about that? Because looking at what is happening again this year, maybe we're fortunate Cameroon did not open the dam suddenly. They did it in a more flooding is starting. Their roads were devastated by that flooding. Nothing has been done. In fact, NDDC did some quick work to make it possible. Since that time, there's been no about that road. Yes, the minister resigned and all that, but flood management plan. What is happening regarding what is coming, even if not this year, very soon? Then NEMA is correctly being told to give, succor to the people. We must be prepared to give succor, but better, we should do what we can to prevent the most devastating effects of the flood. So, I'm happy to hear that there is some attention being given, but it really would be better if preventive measures were taken in advance to minimize the effect and impact. You see, flooding affects even farmland. It affects people's access to their healthcare. If you cannot get out of your house and you have chronic illnesses, you could die, not because you drowned, but because you fell too sick to recover. And flooding, of course, devastates our physical environment. So let's be more proactive. When somebody gives then they also talk about getting buses. People in flooded areas cannot get around because they don't have boats. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you so much for your thoughts on that, AB. Let me just round up here with a few messages. Ajayi Olonilua says, in other countries, rail tracks are fenced off wherever they run through the streets. And illegal trading has more negative consequences than just the danger they constitute themselves. Where do they use as refuse bins, the drainage around them. So they cause flooding that damages property down the line as
toilets.
well.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for your messages, all our listeners, for being a part of Fresh Press. And thank you so much, AB and Joseph, for being with me this morning to analyze all the stories. Great having you, as always.
Thank you, Ayo, and thank you, Lagos, and our listeners all over the world. Great team,
all right.
All the best. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend ahead. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you for being a part of Freshly Pressed. Stick around to Smooth Breakfast right here on Smooth 98.1 at 8:15. We're going to get into the locker room and talk sports stories. Don't go anywhere.